How's it going, everyone? So, I recently had a really unique opportunity to fly over to Switzerland and compete in Feldschiessen, which is an annual shooting competition organized by the Swiss Shooting Sports Federation that takes place all over Switzerland since about 1850. It's a long-standing Swiss tradition and social event that happens in pretty much every town and village in the country, and participation is basically encouraged by the Swiss military, who actually subsidize the ammunition used at Feldschiessen events. As most of you know, Switzerland has this state militia-style military system that was formed after the Napoleonic Wars, where every reasonably aged male citizen was expected to keep arms at home, practice, and fight in times of emergency or invasion, because Switzerland is a small landlocked country without a large standing army. And this system pretty much continues to this day, and part of this is making sure every citizen has the opportunity to shoot and practice at least once a year, regardless if you're in the reserves or not. It's open to all citizens, including foreign nationals, if you have the right credentials. Now, Feldschiessen evolved from a way for your town militia to regularly practice marksmanship to now a social event for everyone in your village, while still keeping the practical martial aspect of the event alive. So I was over in Europe for work, but a few months before my trip, a friend of mine in Switzerland, Dominique, who is active in the hunting and shooting community there, knew I was coming and said, "Hey, my town is having this event, the same time you'll be over. Come join us, stay at my home for a couple days, we'll shoot, there's a celebration afterwards, and then we'll cook some venison." He said, "I'll take care of all the paperwork and get you registered." And I said, "Absolutely, yes, count me in for that." About a week out from heading over, he said the Swiss Army Command in Bern needed some proof that I was able to shoot and purchase firearms. Of course, where I live in the US, you can purchase conventional firearms with just a driver's license, but I did pass along my Curio and Relics FFL, as well as my CCW, and that was good enough for them to give me the green light. So I landed in Zurich last Saturday morning, took the train to Munzinger outside of Bern, and then drove to Victrach, where his local Feldschiessen was taking place. Of course, it's a very rural country, but we passed a few villages where you could actually see multiple shooting ranges just kind of off in the distance. There was probably 5 or 6 within like a 4 kilometer area. So when you're driving along the path, you could just kind of point them out in the field. And like every range or every little town has its own dedicated range, which I think is a neat aspect of Swiss culture. It's definitely more shooting accessible than any place I've ever been, so I hope they're able to keep it that way for a long time to come. So we go to his place, we load up a few rifles, we drove down the range, and along the way, people were casually walking along the side of the road with their personal rifles. It was probably a village of about 250 people, but this range encompassed several different small villages, or at least this Feldschiessen event. They may have been smaller actual ranges in the individual villages, but people were probably driving from a few miles away, while others were just living up the road, so they, took their rifles from their houses and just walked down to the competition. So we got there, parked, and of course it was middle of Saturday, super busy. They had been shooting since the morning and had groups of 8 competing at a time every 30 minutes all day. So I imagine groups of people came in and left after they were done with their time slots. There were 2 tented beer halls attached to the range. People had their kids with them, baby strollers, and you could really see how this was truly a community event. I think the youngest competitor I saw there was maybe 8 years old, I think. We walked in and saw various groups getting ready to shoot. It was 8 people at a time, so they would gather outside, grab their rifles, and the range master got their scorecards before heading in. We checked in at the front of the beer hall to get our time slot and ammunition. I didn't speak any Swiss German, and I was the only foreign national that competed, at least at this location, so I had my host, Dominique, do the translating for me. They really just asked me for my name and my date of birth. They handed me my card with my time slot on it and 5.56 ammunition in a stripper clip, at least like 2 stripper clips, which I put in my pocket until I was called up. In the meantime, we walked inside the shooting bay. It was a pretty small range. Like I said, it only had 8 bays. And we just kind of spectated, just kind of checking it out, seeing what the layout was. Since all the shooting commands were in German, he told me what they were in English, so I had a good idea of when he would say fire, stop, load, or give time countdowns. I was kind of stressed out, like, what if, he gives a command and I don't understand what he's saying, but after kind of spectating for a couple different rounds, you kind of got the hang of like, oh, this is, what we're doing, basically. So the Feldschiessen competition rules are pretty straightforward. You shoot prone at fixed black silhouette targets 300 meters away, and there were 3 rounds. So the first round is you shoot 6 shots in 6 minutes, and you can see every shot on the computer next to you. And then the second round, which you repeat twice, is 3 shots in 1 minute, and then you can see your groupings on your computer screen after each of the 3 rounds. So 3 shots in 1 minute, check your computer. 3 shots in 1 minute, check your computer, and then it's kind of nicely displayed on the side, what your score was. And then the third round is 6 shots in 1 minute, so it's your rapid fire round. And then once that's over, you can see your screen for that 6 grouping. So it's kind of nice how you can kind of see where you were at. So you go slow, intermediate, and then rapid fire. So it all gets progressively faster and more difficult. Per the rules, you can use either a K31, you can use a Sturmgewehr 57, or an STG-90, which were all Swiss service rifles at one point, which makes sense since it's a Swiss arms proficiency test, with the 90 being the current Swiss service arm. Once my turn was up at 3:30 p.m., we went up to the staging area. I borrowed an STG-90 from one of Dominique's friends who was also competing. He actually, I think, worked or volunteered at the range in that town. I could have used a K31 as the Milsurp and me wanted to, but I figured I'd at least try to score a bit higher, and I've never shot an STG-90 before, so I went with that. And I can shoot a K31 pretty much anytime I want. So, new experience, new rifle, there you go. Like I was mentioning earlier, this range was pretty high-tech. There were these triangular tunnels you could shoot into, which helped to muffle the sound. There were screens next to you above your lane that showed you where you've hit, and then there are these ticket machines that print out your scorecard as you're shooting. The club had some decorations on the wall, and this big flag for the town's club, which was pretty neat. So I went outside, staged with the other 7 people that were in my group. We went inside, I gave the guy my scorecard, went to lane 7, got down, loaded the magazine. You have to put this sort of metal shield on the top to deflect brass, and then we waited for the range officer's commands. The Sturmgewehr 90 handled pretty well. Did decent during the first round, shot a little too fast during the 3-shot round phase. I was just kind of, he would give the commands of like, oh, you've got 20 seconds left. And then I didn't understand the numbering, so I was just shooting a little faster than I should have, and then shot decent during the 60 seconds finale, and got a score of 55 out of 90. I think once I realized it was, 60 seconds, I was like, all right, I'm just going to shoot. I'm not really going to take my time here.
Anschlagen! Fire!
And I think you needed to score a 57 to get a medal. So almost there, but at 55 they give you this small club recognition card. So I got this from the Victrac Club. And at the bottom, it has my name, and then all the cantons in Switzerland at the bottom, which is pretty cool. My score, distance 300 meters. So yeah, that was neat. And then after my turn, we went to the outside bar, had a few beers, some wine, some bratwurst, and it was really just kind of a big party. Talked to the club manager. There were some small groups that were doing unofficial competitions, mini competitions within their own friend groups, and were wearing different team colors, which I thought was a really cool aspect of Feldschiessen. And this pop-up bar, which is also where you got your ammunition, was like attached to the staging area. So some guys were drinking a beer or two before they went up to shoot, and then 10 feet away were just kind of the racks of rifles, like I said, K31s, 57s, 90s. We stayed for a bit after my go and Dominique's go. We watched some others shoot, spectate, just kind of see what the scores were. Like I said, it was pretty much all ages, kids as young as 7, 8, obviously older people, but it really was a community event. And then when we were done watching others shoot and got our fill, we went back to Dominique's house, cooked some good venison, and then had some excellent wine in the beautiful Swiss countryside. So can't really complain about a good day. So this was my first-hand experience at Feldschiessen in Switzerland. Of course, they do the same competition at thousands of other ranges all over the country, and they all vary in size and could have up to 60 lanes. I think someone was saying The range in Bern itself is like a massive facility, and then you've got little villages dotted all over the Swiss countryside that can be much smaller. But either way, it was a very unique experience for me, and I'm glad I had this opportunity. So yeah, visit Switzerland, and if you have an opportunity to partake in their gun culture, it's definitely something I'd recommend, and I hope this is part of their culture that they can protect for a long time to come. So thanks again for watching, everyone, and we'll see you later.